Hey guys, so welcome back to another video tutorial, and this tutorial we're going to be going over making controllers in Node. And controllers are handy because at the moment our roots file is looking a bit hefty, a bit too much code for my liking, so we're just going to split that code out and put it into another file, and it's going to be a hell of a lot neater. In the future, the controllers are going to become a lot more useful when we have more logic going into our site, but everything is super basic at the moment, so this is just the the logic behind it and how it works. Hope you enjoy. So in the last tutorial, we just made this post request and also this GET request. The issue being that the roots file was starting to look a bit hefty, and yeah, better make some controllers to take all of this logic out of here and make this file a little bit neater. So where the roots folder is, we're just going to create a new folder called controllers. And then within that, just like the roots, we're going to have a user controller, like so. Now, this is going to be super basic, really easy representation of controllers. So I might add maybe like an updating root, which obviously won't work now, but it's kind of will teach you how to do URL parameters and how to collect them. So that might just be a little add-on to this tutorial so that this isn't too short. Because all we need to do is we just need to write some functions here. So let's have a const, maybe we can get user equals, and then we'll just copy and paste this sort of request res thing here. So where do we need to close it off? We'll work it out. So we go, like so. So this function is to get the user. Obviously there's going to be some logic here a bit later on which will actually work. But we can add a dot block here, so we can be like, oh, this is an object, the request object, the response object, and then collect the user's information, something like that. I like to dot block my controller functions just because it's easier when then I'm looking through them. I can sort of read what they do, and also when I'm requiring to use them, they'll give me the parameters that are available. Not so useful for things like this because request and res and next is always going to be a parameter of these, but yeah, just a good habit to get into. So let's just do exactly the same thing for const. Maybe which user or something. These can really be called whatever you want. So yeah, just call them whatever you want, because yeah, there's never going to be a root where you're posting just the body name. Yeah, we're just going to make up this weird function name here, and we're going to change this a lot later on. And then just like before, we kind of want to paste in this here and just fix some indentations. Okay, so now we have these functions. Maybe we can have another dot block, and it's just like something like that. So now we need to make these available when we require them, and we can do that, if you remember, in I think it was the last tutorial or the tutorial before where we did this module exports. We're just going to do the same thing, like so, and then we're just going to equal it to the function names. So what I'm doing is I'm doing like a shorthand for an object. What really this is kind of saying that the get user is equal to the get user function, but because they're the same, we can literally just get rid of this and it makes it a little bit neater. Okay, so that's the user controller pretty much done for what we know so far. So now let's just import this user controller at the top of this file, or require even. So And we need to go backer folder into controllers and then require user, like so. And then we can say the get request is user controller.getUser. And then we can get rid of all of this, and we can say the post request is user controller.postUser, or I think it was which user. Yeah. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That will work fine and work exactly like before, and it obviously is a lot neater in these roots folder now. So let's send, and we get your name is Joe. Let's refresh, and we get this. And then let's just get rid of name, and we should get, you need to supply a name. So yeah, everything's working. But what about if in the future we want to update a user and we want the URL to be kind of like app.root, and we want API v1 user, and then we want like the user's ID here. What we can do is we can just do user ID, or this can be called anything you like. This is just a variable name. And then let's say it'll probably be a .post or a .patch request. We'll just do .post for now because it's what we've learned. So user controller.update, like so. And then we might want to make a const update function, which will have the request and response. And then we want to just make sure that we can access that from another file. And we'll have another .block. And we'll be like, update a specific user. Okay, so how do we get that user ID? So if we just go const user ID, we can do request.params and then .user ID. And then this is the same variable as this. So if this was just user, then this would be just user. And then for now, we'll just return a res.json of a message saying the user you want to update is, and then let's just throw on this user ID. Okay, so now if we go to this post request and we just add on like maybe some fake ID and send, we get the user you want to update is some fake ID. So you can see that we're pulling this parameter out of the URL, and it's pretty simple to do. Okay guys, so that was it for this tutorial. Again, keeping it super basic, super specific to a topic, and we just went over controllers. We added a little something in for finding out the parameters of a URL, so that was a nice little add-on to this tutorial. I've decided that after the database connection and the models tutorial, things are going to get a little bit nicer and a little bit more sort of fulfilled, so we can have things collecting from a database and posting to a database. So after that, I'm probably going to go over to like the verification or the validation of the form fields, and also going to go over maybe an authentication system and then some middleware for your API functions, which are super handy for example, only allowing authenticated users for some routes, and more easy than I think you'll expect. So stay tuned for them, and thanks for watching. As always, subscribe and like the video. Bye.